Okay, good. All right, what's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly. I'm usually playing my little music around this time, so I can do my little sharing and all that stuff. But we had some technical difficulties, which are now fixed, and so we're getting ready to move farther. But I'm excited about tonight's show. I brought Myra in a little sooner than I wanted to because, like I said, we were having some technical difficulties. So give me a second. Let me get my groove back because I'm lost right now. I gotta give me a second to balance myself. Here we go. Bam. There we go. I need to hear it, Myra. If I don't hear my whole song before I get started, I lose my motivation and things just aren't the same. So now we're starting the show at 9:03 as opposed to 9 o'clock. I'm sorry. So if you need to share this thread, huh?
People are saying they can't get in.
They can't get in?
Yeah, they don't see it.
Where they? Huh?
Someone just got it on YouTube, but yeah,
it's on my face. They need to go to my Facebook page. It's the link that I shared earlier today. Where are they trying to grab it from? They probably can go to your share it on your just share the thread on your page if you can.
Okay.
And then they can just go to your page and watch it. But yeah, it's the link that I shared earlier. It's either going to be on my Facebook page or it's going to be on YouTube. We're not going to have Instagram tonight because I don't understand how to work it yet. I'm not the most technically literate person in the world, and I know my shortcomings and I know my weaknesses, and I'm cool with that. I believe in the Pareto principle. I work on my 80% strengths as opposed to focusing on my 20% weaknesses. So I'm good. But listen, I'm excited tonight because we do have a special guest. Her name is Miss Myra Singleton. We met on last week, week before last, a couple weeks ago. I forgot. Just chatting on Facebook and looking at. I think she noticed one of my comments on her page. She said that was very insightful, and it started a conversation. And then I think she jumped on one of my lives one day, and we were talking. And I said, you know what, I want to get you on my show. I didn't know why I wanted to get her on my show because I was thinking about a different series, honestly. But we had a conversation, and as a result of the conversation, then I said, you know what, people need to hear your story. People need to hear your story because we hear this, especially in the Christendom, we hear this Christian colloquialism about I don't look like what I've been through, as to indicate that I've been through fire and metaphorical fire, and I don't smell like smoke. I've been through water, but I didn't drown. I don't even look like the remnants of the water. But there have been times in life where you might not have drowned, but you might have felt overwhelmed, or you might have been through some fire and things might have gotten hot on you. But you made it through it. And in making it through it, it made you say, I don't look like what I've been through. Because it seems like, isn't it funny that what you were able to walk on by faith drowned other people? And this is a rhetorical question. I'm talking to the audience right now. The very thing that would have taken somebody else out, here you are thriving after it. And you got this whole thing now called a testimony, right? And scripture teaches us that we're overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimonies, right? So when Myra and I started talking, I don't know why, because we just met. We didn't know each other from Adam, but she felt comfortable talking to me. And she started sharing some things with me about her testimony. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was floored. I was amazed because then she started sending me some pictures and I'm like, really? Wow, you went through all that. And so I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to tell your story? And she said, yes. I said, well, cool. Come on the Intellectual Stew and let's talk about it. And thus, that's how this show emanated. So let her introduce herself. Myra, come on, tell the people who you are.
Well, my name is Myra Singleton, and I'm speaking tonight as a survivor, as a woman of faith, and as a person who just wants to inspire, help, and be a blessing to others.
Okay. You want to inspire. So let me ask this first before we get deeper into this conversation. I know you just said that you want to inspire others, and that's good. But overall, holistically, what is it that you want the listeners to get out of this conversation?
Well, I guess for different people, they get different things. Typically, I'm targeting people who may be going through a difficult time, who may be having difficulty holding on to their faith. people, and that can be in any aspect of life. And then also people who are going through different health issues. And
Okay.
what I've learned from sharing my journey just from the beginning, people start inboxing me who didn't have anything going on health wise. It just like made them look at things that were going on in their life in a different light. You
Okay.
know, one person said, "Oh wow, I was over here tripping on this, making a big deal out of this. Then I saw your post and I realized I need to be quiet." You
Wow.
know, because it was something minuscule, something, that really didn't hold a lot of weight, when they really just stepped back and looked at it.
Yeah, because everybody's going through something, no doubt about it, and it's so it's so easy to come meistic, as I like to call it. It's so easier to develop what J. Vernon McGee calls perpendicular iitis. It's all about me. I'm the
Mhm.
woe is me, woe is me. But then the very moment when you think things are bad, you meet somebody else and their situation's a whole lot worse. I thought I was doing real bad because my shoes had a couple of holes in them, right? But then I looked up and somebody else didn't have feet, right? And they had to one. So everybody is going through something. And like I said, you, my friend, and I don't use that term loosely. You definitely embody the whole. If I don't look like what I've been through as a person, you definitely embody that, and I appreciate that. So listen, if you're in the comments right now, do me a favor. Type in #live and let me know where you're listening to. Listening from. If you're in Mississippi, I think somebody on this live is from the MI crooked letter I crooked letter I humpback I. So if did you go to University of Arkansas? I'm joking. I'm joking. That was shade. That was shade. That was shade. That was shade. But so wherever you're listening from, do me a favor, hit #live Mississippi, #live Little Rock, #live Atlanta, #live Orlando, and let me see where you're listening from. Okay, we got Reagan Singleton. She's from Mississippi. Okay,
That's my
let's get some
daughter.
more people. That's your daughter. Okay. Oh, duh, last name Singleton right there. And no wonder she says she's gorgeous. Reagan, you probably a little biased in that regard, and that's okay. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let's talk. Let's get into this conversation. Let's get
Okay,
into this.
let's talk.
And you all that are in the comments, if you, I'm thinking about doing something. I'm not putting a time limit on this conversation. So if she gets tired and wants to stop talking, then of course she can let me know. But at about 10 o'clock, 10:15, if there's someone in here that might be going through a similar situation and you want to come on and perhaps share your testimony, I'm going to open that up towards the end of the conversation. But right now, Myra and I, okay, we got We got Reagan, we got John Avery from Jackson, Mississippi, we got Shannon Jackson Hill from Dallas, Texas. We got Joe Lavelle. He's not following instruction, but he said, where you from? Oh, he's from New Jersey. We got Stacy Terry from Knoxville, Tennessee. We got Corey London. She had already spoken, but I know she's from Orlando. So here we go. Talk to me about life prior to 2017, because as I know it was 2017 or 2019?
19.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me about 2019. I mean, what was prior to going to the doctor? What was life like for you? Your professional life, your faith, your finances, your family. What trajectory were you on at this point in your life? You're in your mid-40s. Things are going with. What is life like for you at that point?
Well, I would say at that time, I felt like I was sitting on top of the world.
Okay.
I felt like everything that I had been working so hard for had been coming to fruition. I was in the 6th year of my profession as a licensed insurance agent. And so I no longer had to call leads. Basically, everybody called me. All I had to do was pick up the phone. My daughter was in college. I was making a lot of money. I was in love. I was traveling every other month. And I just felt like life was good in my faith. I was attending church. I was director of hospitality at the church that I was attending. And I just felt like everything had aligned. I was extremely happy.
Okay. And so all these things are going well, and I can relate to the life insurance things. I never started calling the leads, to be honest with you, and that's why I'm stuck where I am. I need to call some leads. I promise I need to call some leads. One day I'm call some leads. I'm gonna call some leads. But like, you're on top of the world. Things are going well. Income is where you need to be. You live. I know what side of town you live on, so I get that side of it. Daughter's in college, so by all of societal standards, you're on the trajectory. You're on the path. I mean, you're there. You know, I mean, not me got income. I mean, all these things are right. And then all of a sudden, something prompts you to go to the doctor. What happened?
Well, I had been having problems with a cough off and on,
Okay.
but that's pretty typical every year. I spend a lot of time outside planting flowers, doing yard work. It's kind of like my therapy, and I like making things pretty.
Okay.
So I typically get some type of allergies that turn into a lot of times a sinus infection. So at first it was nothing really alarming, and then I would treat it and it would go away, and then it just kept coming back. And
Mhm.
so I ended up going to see an ENT. He comes in the room, puts a scope down my nose. He's in and out the room in 5 minutes, and he tells me to just use Flonase every day, and I'll be fine. That
Okay.
was January 2019.
Okay.
So I started using the Flonase. The symptoms still just kept coming back, and I just started coughing worse, worse, and worse. And then, blood started being involved. So I made a doctor's appointment with my primary caregiver. They
Excuse
gave
me.
me
Can I let me stop you right quick. Hold on, real
okay.
quick. When you said blood start coming up, are you talking about blood through your nostrils, blood out of your mouth?
Out of my
Where was?
mouth.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
hmm Yeah,
Okay.
because the coughs would just be so hard, just constant and hard coughs. So it was very, very unusual.
Okay.
And so, but a lot of times it would be treatable by cough medicines. It would kind of calm it. And so I went to the doctor again, and they gave me a narcotic cough medicine.
Okay.
And I was told that this should take care of everything, which it did pretty much. But they said if the cough comes back, come back to them. So 2 weeks later, the cough didn't come back, but I developed a wheezing sound. And
Mm.
it was just sometimes like breathing, I could just hear like a little wheeze. And I just, okay, this is something odd. This is this is new. And then it got to the point where it was really bad. I remember one day I was going to take a nap so I can get up and run errands. And this wheezing sound kept waking me up out of my sleep.
Oh,
So I
wow.
recorded myself and I sent it to my mom, and she called me back, and she was really alarmed. She told me to go to the emergency room right away. She thought maybe my airways were closing down.
Okay.
And I just thought it was kind of funny because my mom is, she's far away and I'm her baby. So I'm thinking she's kind of overreacting. And I'm like, Mom, no, I'm taking Mucinex. I'm fine. I felt fine. I just cut limbs off my trees like the week before. And then I'm getting ready to go to Home Depot and go to Ross. And so, she talked to me and she just said, just go to the emergency room just for me.
Okay.
And I went to the emergency room, and um, they took x-rays and they saw the tumors everywhere, and that's how everything started.
Wow. Wow. So now, wow. Okay. If you all are listening, please do me a favor. Type hashtag live. Let me know where you're listening from. Atlanta, Little Rock, wherever you're listening from. The conversation is getting real now. We're on with Miss Myra Singleton. In 2019, she was on top of the world thing by societal standards. She's doing well. She's making good money. Daughters in college. All these things. We haven't gotten there yet. She said saw tumors, Joe. Saw tumors in her body. Saw tumors. And the name of the show is called I Don't. At the top, y'all can see it. I don't look like what I've been through. So we're going through all this whole situation. She's day prior. She's cutting limbs, just having trouble breathing. She feels fine. Mucinex thinks Mucinex might do the job. Mom tells me to go. Mom tells her to go to the doctor, go to the emergency room, get things checked out. You go to the emergency room, you see, they say that they see tumors. Now things
Mhm.
have gotten real
Yes.
because that's not what you're expecting to hear. You're not expecting to go to the doctor. You were expecting that it was just some inflammation. Let's get an
I thought it was a sinus
antihistamine.
infection.
Huh?
I thought it was a
Yeah.
sinus infection,
Yeah, it's a
honestly.
sinus infection. I get them all the time. I get but I get it. So now that they tell you that they see tumors, what's the next process? What's the next process at that point? The next
Well,
step in the
after I
process,
got
I
over
guess
the
would be said.
initial shock,
Okay.
and then the doctor comes in, and there was a board in the room, and he got a little pen, and he started drawing like circles, like showing me, trying to give me a visual of about the size of the different tumors.
Okay.
Just say, for instance, on my liver, I had a tumor that was 9 centimeters, another that was 6 centimeters. Then the tumor behind my right lung was 12 centimeters. about the size of a grapefruit. And there were just tumors just all throughout, spine, spleen. And at that time, of course, that's just the initial step, but further tests showed more. But they
Hmm.
knew at that time that I needed immediate help. And
Okay.
I was shocked. I was really, really shocked. I was taking selfies every day thinking I was cute. I had no idea that I
Oh no,
had
you were
stage
cute.
four
You were
cancer.
cute. That mean blind Bartimaeus can see you were cute. That's not the that we can see that. But I'm joking. I'm not flirting, y'all. I'm playing. I'm playing.
No,
But
I mean, because a lot of times you think if someone has stage four cancer that you can look at them and say, "Oh, they're sick."
now
No.
hold on. You just ran by that one. You just ran by that one because you didn't. You have not told the audience that you had stage 4 cancer. All you told them was that they saw tumors. So
Yes.
now let's talk about that process. So they see the tumors. I know they
Hmm.
have to test them to see what type of, if it's benign, malignant, if what type of cancer it is, yada yada yada. How long did that process take to find out what type of cancer was, how advanced the stage was, how from the time things got real, where
Hmm.
Myra had to look in the mirror and say, okay, this is real now. How
Hmm.
long did it take to find out the full diagnosis? You understand what I'm saying? And
Oh
what the
yeah.
next steps would be going forward.
Well, it took about a week, and
Okay.
at this time, I wouldn't say that I was in shock. I just kind of went into the fight or flight mode. I decided that I was immediately going to fight.
Okay.
And I didn't even cry.
Okay. Oh
So they
wow.
immediately admitted me to the hospital and they, kind of told me what to expect over the next few days. And me being the workaholic that I was, that night, I told someone, I said, I need somebody to bring my laptop
Oh
and some
wow.
pajamas. So the next morning when I got my laptop, I'm returning emails. I have my Bluetooth. I'm walking up and down the halls of the hospital, talking to my
Jesus.
clients, explaining their plans. I'm writing up applications in the hospital bed because I just knew whatever it was, I'm going to beat it. I had no idea. I didn't know there was stage four or anything like that. But then they started taking me for more tests. Since my lungs were involved and I had that huge tumor, I was taken for a bronchoscopy.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, that was unsuccessful because my lungs were in such bad condition as to where when the doctor attempted to, well, when he sprayed saline on the lung so he could
Uh-huh.
get a part of it, it started bleeding profusely just from the saline. So
Wow.
he wasn't able to do it. And then, not to mention, I woke up in the middle of the process. He said, "Yeah, you won't feel it. You won't remember anything." But I woke up and I'm like, "Yeah." And I just saw everybody's eyes get huge. Yeah. So that was so. I think just kind of fast forward. I think I went in like on a Saturday, and then by that Wednesday, when I got the results of the bronchoscopy, and the doctor showed me um, a picture of my left lung versus my right lung,
Hmm.
and they looked totally different. One was healthy and one looked like someone who smoked 100 pack of cigarettes per day. And
Wow.
I looked at that, somebody who never smoked, never used drugs. I was just shocked. I said, wait a minute, that's in me? And
Wow.
he said, yes. And that's when I broke down.
Wow.
I could not believe it. And
Okay.
then just from that point, they had to do more tests to figure out what type of cancer it was. So they had to do a biopsy of my spine. That's when they get a hammer and beat. It's almost like they beat a needle into your back each
Oh
time they
Jesus.
hit your whole body is
Wow.
moving with it. And so from that, they were able to get more information and determine that the cancer had destroyed all the bone marrow in my spine as
Oh
well.
my.
Yeah, so
Jesus.
then they started saying, well, after we treat the cancer, you're going to need a bone marrow transplant. So
Wow.
there was just so much. And so then they did a PET scan, and then they sent me home that Friday, and then set up the arrangements for me to get my port installed.
Gotcha. All right. And once again, thank you so much for sharing this. Because like I said, and be, hey, tell as much as you want to tell.
Mhm.
It's your story. And I get it. Listen, everybody in chat, share this. We got about probably another 30, 45 minutes. We're going to talk again. We're going to go a little bit deeper. She's going to share some more with us. And you think you're going through something. And we sit in here and we argue with people we don't even know on Facebook and on social media and concerned about. And see, Myra, that's why I bring, I can care less about Will Smith and Jada. I can care less about Diddy and all the stuff he got on. I like local celebrities, right? Because people that are touchable, people that we work with, we go to church with, people we eat, all these types of things, right? Because these are the people that inspire us, right? Now you have had them discover, doing all these violent things to your body, and I can relate because I almost lost my father earlier this year. He had a heart attack and crashed 4 times, and he had to have quadruple bypass surgery, and they told us some of the violent things they did to his body by using a circle saw to cut open his his sternum and all these types. So I can imagine what they were doing to your body, right? And so many people couldn't even imagine. So you've gone through this now, and they're doing all these tests, and then they finally come in, and what kind of cancer do they tell you it is?
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Hodgkin's lymphoma. Tell the audience how rare Hodgkin's lymphoma is.
Hodgkin's lymphoma is so rare to the point where I had better odds of winning the lottery. It only affects 8,000 people per year in the United States.
Wow. So if it only affects 8,000 people, then that's something. It's not like prostate cancer because, there's so many tests, so many cases of it, right? So they can work on it. They have a whole lot more tests they've done on that, right? They got more data on that. Same thing probably with cervical cancer, breast cancer, all these types of different things, right? But here this, okay, Joe Lavelle. Oh, wow. Joe, make sure your dad hears this. Joe Lavelle just said, Myra, that my dad has lymphoma now. Hey, Charlotte. Yeah, he said my dad has lymphoma now. And let's understand this, you all in the audience. And Reagan said, that's her mama. Let me put that on the screen. She said, walking miracle. I can relate because my dad is a walking miracle. And since we started talking about this show, I probably had 3 or 4 people come in my inbox and tell me they were walking miracles. And if they're listening tonight, as I said at the end of the show, if you want to come in and share part of your testimony, especially after hearing what Myra went through and how she came through it, then if you feel compelled, like I say, inbox me, let me know, and I'll send you the link and we can do this. So now you have Hodgkin's lymphoma, only 8,000 people a year. They only treat about 8,000 cases a year. And now you can identify your giant, right? Now you can identify, because in any type of enemy that you face, the worst enemy is the enemy you don't know. Because you don't know what angle he's going to come from, right? So if we're going to go here, let's go ahead and do it tonight. The worst enemy is the enemy you don't know. But once you know, see, when Jesus ran up on a herd full of pigs, and he said, he wanted to ask the demon what his name was. He said, my name is Legion, for we're many, right? Because he had to identify him before he could cast him out, right? So at this particular instance, you need to know what type of demon, or devil, or cancer you're dealing with, so you can prepare the war properly. Because you told me something when you said once you found out the diagnosis, you said you went into warfare. And well, you didn't say use those words, but you said, what did you tell me? You knew God was going to do what?
Oh, heal me. Yes, immediately.
You said, no doubt about it.
No
faith kicked right in.
Yes.
Faith kicked in like autopilot. So and the enemy came in like a flood. God lifted up a standard immediately. So you knew immediately at that moment God was going to heal you.
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
So where did that faith come from?
I was always raised in the church, and I've had so many instances in life where I couldn't see my way out of a situation, and it was just so doubtful. And God pulled me through every single time, regardless. I mean, it's just really just amazed me. So I've been through enough situations to know what God will do. And I've seen it with other people. So, and I know what God's promises are.
Yeah.
So I just started speaking it. Even though I didn't know the journey that I had ahead of me, I immediately started saying, I'm healed. I just have to go through the process. Gotcha. So even when I first made my initial post on Facebook to let people know what my diagnosis was, the picture that I posted, I said, I'm healed. So some people were confused. They thought maybe, I was telling them about it after the fact because I said, I'm healed. I said, no, I am healed already. I just started speaking healing over me. And
Yeah.
that's just the mindset that I had from the beginning. Some
Yeah.
spiritual people that reached out to me were telling me, they were just trying to make sure that I had the tools to stay, to kind of keep my faith, because there are going to be times where you're doubtful or you feel weak, and it's okay to have those moments. You just can't stay there. But they were letting me know
Moments.
that they're there if I needed them. And
Gotcha.
so just even in just how to speak certain things, like I learned, you don't say I have cancer, you say the diagnosis is,
Mm.
or you say the doctor's reports show.
Wow.
So those are the things that that's how I started navigating things from the beginning. Then I started correcting people around me who would say certain
Mm.
things. Like even now, people will say, "Are you in remission?" or "How long have you been in remission?" I say I don't use that term. I just say healed forever, because remission means the amount of time in between the next time it can reappear. So
Mm.
it's a one and done. So I've just been claiming that from the beginning.
Girl, don't make no shout me here. I will do it. I promise you. I will shout. I will shout. So you said it in your mindset it was one and done. So you had the right mindset. No, so today I went and visited my chiropractor, and my chiropractor acquainted me with a book by Carol K. Truman. And the name of the book is called Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. Feelings Buried Alive. And what it does, and I want you to think about this, and it's definitely not absolute, but it does make some suppositions. And I want to put this out before you. What it does, it attaches some emotions to certain sicknesses, right? Because I knew one person, for instance, that had rheumatoid arthritis. And when they had rheumatoid arthritis, it was the doctor asked what major traumatic experience, stress trauma happened in that person's life, because that would usually trigger something to happen in that person's body, right? So when I looked up in this book today, I looked up rheumatoid arthritis. When it started talking about feelings buried alive, never die, it said that certain things, certain emotions, and I'm not making any accusations, I'm just asking for people that are listening, so that if it does, because John just said something about mindset, and Teresa Brown just talked about how the body stores trauma. So when we start talking about this mindset, it said three things usually associate with those that have contracted Hodgkin's lymphoma. One, it says the inability to accept self. That's number one. Number two, it says a frantic need to feel accepted. And then number three, that person feels a continual need to prove themselves. Now, you think about what I just said. I'm going to say it one more time, and then y'all in the audience, y'all, if you find yourself doing these things, try to correct them. Number one, there's an inability to accept yourself. Number two, there's a frantic need to feel accepted. And number three, that person feels a continual need to prove themselves. Do you feel like that was a part of your emotional state before you got that diagnosis? And I know I
No.
hit you with that one on hard. I know I hit you with that one off rip. Because I sent you other. Listen, y'all, I don't ever. I hate using double negatives. Y'all gonna think I can't talk. Uh, but um, um, but I really don't ever like prepare questions and all that kind of stuff. I really don't. I just kind of like to go organically. But since it's her first time on the show, I tried to put a few questions together. Now I told her I might deviate tonight, so that's one I kind of deviated on. Teresa Brown says she can believe that, because we talk about mind over matter, and we talk about how, I know, like last week I got some troublesome news, right? And that stress affected me adversely. I mean, I literally started feeling pain in my lower back, and then eventually by the end of the weekend I got sick, you know what I'm saying? And that stress did that to me. So do you feel like any of those things could have possibly played a factor? Were you feeling any of those emotions?
No, I can't say
Okay.
that I have or that I
Oh,
was. I've
okay.
always been pretty self-aware.
Okay.
I just know at the time, the job that I had, even though I didn't have to work hard, it was stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And then the relationship that I was in, the person suffered from depression. So that was
Okay.
like a job within itself, just
Oh,
constantly
wow.
trying to pour into that person, encourage that
Oh,
person,
wow.
motivate them, trying to make sure they're always okay. So it was a lot of work. And so,
Wow.
and I do know that the body stress can make you sick. And so
Yeah.
I've always had, taken a lot of supplements and had a healthy lifestyle. So I feel like, things like that can lower your immune system and allow some underlying things to come in. But with Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's a medical mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So it has no markers like most cancers has something to do with genetics, hormones, what you were exposed to, what you ate. I mean, even babies get Hodgkin's lymphoma. It has
Mm-hmm.
mainly to do with your white blood cells. So you know how white blood cells fight off infection?
Uh-huh.
Well, when the white blood cells are repairing themselves, if one of those cells becomes damaged in the repair process, it creates Hodgkin's lymphoma, and you have nothing
Gotcha.
to do with that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
All right. So now that we have the diagnosis,
Mhm.
we have to navigate the emotional portion of it. You just gave it. You let us peek into that a moment ago because initially, like you said, you you claimed your healing from the jump.
Mhm.
You asked for your laptop because you felt like work had to go on. Uh, you're in a relationship with someone who's depressed, so you have to manage their emotions. Was your daughter in town or was she out of town? Where was she in the process?
She was out of
Well, I'm
state.
asking, what did your support system look like here locally?
Oh, okay. Well, my daughter was out of state, but she wanted to drop everything and come here. I wouldn't let her. But
Okay,
my support system was phenomenal. I mean, it's
okay,
unbelievable.
okay.
Um, uh, I had so much support. Like if I needed someone to be with me every second of the day, I could have had someone with me every second of the day.
That's good. That's great.
People just poured in love, support, encouragement. I was self-employed, so my income stopped immediately.
Mm,
Donations, trips, rides to doctor's appointments, chemo. Like whoever took me to chemo, that was a 15-hour. Uh, yeah, that was about a 15-hour obligation each
what?
time. The support system was phenomenal. I mean, I
Really?
could not. I mean, and it really helped me. It really, really did because you go through such dark times at times. And just say, for instance, you wake up in the middle of the night and you check your phone and you have all these text messages. Those things are encouraging, even if you can't reply. They matter.
Mm,
They help.
okay,
The post I
okay.
made on Facebook, even if somebody just liked it, you notice who liked it. People made comments or just put the praying hands. It's amazing how I remember those people, and sometimes I remind people like I'm forever indebted to you.
Mm,
I'll be forever grateful for your support. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because people love me who didn't even have a reason to love me.
wow.
I guess people will show you how they feel about you when you're down, and
Mm.
just the love was just phenomenal.
Yeah, don't you start the crying stuff now, cause I'm don't have me look like no punk up here for real. Don't do
I'm
that.
just
Don't you do me like that. But that's okay. No, that, I mean, that's real. That's real. That's real. Because listen, people don't have to be nice to you.
yeah.
They don't. And when people choose to be nice to you, it's usually because you've done something that has impacted them. And let's talk about your process. Let's talk about it because what so now that we have to go through treatment, you gave us you brought us in a little bit with the 15-hour chemo. Other than chemo, I mean, how many medications were you taking? What type of what was your ritual? What was your routine? How much time did you have to spend in the hospital versus spending at home? Was it outpatient? What did that span of time look like? How long was that span of time? Just bring us into that.
Okay. Well, from the time that I was first diagnosed in the hospital to the time that I had my first chemo was about a month. Even though they tried to start it immediately, I just kept having different medical emergencies. And every time I would go to the emergency room, the doctors never knew why. I would ask, why is this happening? And they didn't know because Hodgkin's lymphoma is so rare. And I didn't fit the mold for anything. And so turns out I ended up being like a test case.
Mm.
And so you were asking, so what was the process like? It was a lot of trial and error. If this doesn't work, we'll try this. If this doesn't work, we'll try that. But just to go in the background of things, my whole body chemistry changed. Hodgkin's lymphoma swells you up. Just think of like a milk carton where the milk begins to sour, how it just starts to swell. That's how I began to look. And then I was on a lot of steroids because I couldn't breathe. Then I was on oxygen that I had to use 24 hours a day And because the tumor was so big on my lung, and both my lungs were totally filled with cancer, I had to sleep
Wow.
with my back to the headboard from
Jesus.
July to January. So if I had waken up and I had slid to the side, I was going to be in a lot of pain just that day. Well, just to go back a little bit more, just to tell you about like the damage
Yeah.
that they realized that I had.
Mm-hmm.
The cancer destroyed bone marrow in my brain. It was in my neck. It destroyed part of my left clavicle. Now this is outside of the tumors. It
Wow.
destroyed 3 bones in my rib cage on both sides. Destroyed my hip, part of my tailbone, and it was in my hip
Jesus.
and legs. And I felt a lot of soreness. They asked me, they said, "Well, were you sore?" And you didn't feel anything, but I worked out a lot and I always lift heavy, so I was
Mm.
always sore. So if my upper body was sore, okay, it's leg day. So that's how I really didn't notice the signs. And so just the process. Oh wow, they were trying to figure it out with me. So the
Yeah.
hospital that I was at initially, they were not prepared for me. They were not prepared for
Jeez.
my case. I suffered a lot. When I said my body chemistry changed, I ate a lot of vegetables and things like that. Now, with me knowing that I'm in a fight of my life, I'm trying to eat healthy. So I'm eating vegetables. Turns out vegetables made me sick.
Oh
Fruit
wow.
made me sick. So then people were bringing me Ensure. Ensure made me sick because of the whey protein. So I had to do a lot of research on my own, and I found out, okay, well, the weight isolate, I can handle that. So I ended up transferring to Cancer Treatment Centers of America so I could get more specialized treatment,
Okay.
and they paid more attention to making you comfortable with the symptoms, not just treating the disease itself.
Okay.
So to me, that was kind of like a turning point. So I had my own pain management team. I was on 25 different medications a day. It was just a lot. There was a lot. It happened so fast, and
Hap-
where I ended up losing my mobility and things like that. But yeah,
it happened so fast. So you lost your mobility. Are you in a wheelchair now?
yes.
So you had to go from, and if y'all don't know her, she taught martial arts. She just told you she lifted, so she was in shape. It was, she was very active. It wasn't like she was sitting on her do nothing, doing nothing. She was active. She was doing her thing, and now life has hit her. Life has thrown her a curveball. She missed, and it tried to strike her out. It at least set her down for a little while, and life will do that to you. Life has a way of, as we're going about our daily lives, doing, on our own trajectories, doing our own thing, and then all of a sudden life happens, and something comes and alters your way of life. It changes your outlook. It changes your perspective. It makes you, when you're used to being dependable, now you have to be dependent. That's now all those things are. She's a 100% self-employed. Now she doesn't have any income, but thankfully she has friends, and she's going through this. So I know that had to weigh on you mentally. I know that had to weigh on you mentally. So what were the most challenging aspects of dealing with this disease during your treatment? Looking at all these differences, what were the most challenging aspects of dealing with the disease, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, I think one of the things that just hit me the hardest in the beginning is that I knew from the beginning, I was telling myself, well, I'm stronger than most people. So this diagnosis won't affect me like it did others.
Girl, I
And
think I love you. She said, I'm stronger than most people. So I know, y'all listen here. Y'all, I'm about to shout. If I start speaking in tongue tonight, y'all don't report me to the FCC or nothing. But listen here, hold on. I'm gonna stop. She said, I'm stronger than most people. So I know that this cancer, and this is what I'm saying, because what y'all got to understand, what's going on here is what you call faith talk. And faith talk, life is not an event, right? Life is a process, right? We don't just wait, if you live 51 years, you don't just wake up 51. You had to live 50 of those years prior to that 51, right? And so something happened in her life that seeded and produced and cause her faith to increase over the years, because we all have a faith file, or we should, that have our different faith or whatnot. And when we come into a point where we're facing a test, we ought to have something in a faith file or something that we can lean on to. Because I'm of the opinion, Joe LaVille, I'm of the opinion, John, I'm of the opinion, Stephanie, I'm of the opinion, Myra, that a faith that's never been tested is a faith that really can't be trusted. So when it's time to put faith on trial, are you going to call faith then? And to hear you say out of your own mouth, while after they have diagnosed you, that they've taken the whatever you said and hit you at the bottom of the spine and saw this marrow going around your clavicle and all up and down your spine. And then you have the mental fortitude and the fervent to know that I'm stronger than most people. So watch this. So this cancer won't affect me like that. Oh, that messes me up right there. So when that happened, is that what kept you going the whole time? Is that what helped you overcome the mental challenges of it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Because even though the doctors were saying one thing, I was telling myself another. Because when I was in a hospital, one of those times, I was hospitalized 3 times within the first 30 days. And one of those times, I was like, well, when am I getting out? Because I'm supposed to be going to a jazz festival in Ohio next week. And then I said, I have a cruise coming up in September. And so the doctor's like, really? What else you have? And she was just smiling. And she said, tell me everything. So I told her everything. And she said, cancel it. Cancel it all. I'm like, what? She said, you're not going to be able to do it. I said, but I think I can. She said, no, cancel it all. Wow. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I said yes to her, but to myself, I was like, no. But then I saw very quickly what she meant.
No, but no, I love it. I love it because I mean that's an amazing faith, you know. And people, we you know, Joe asked a moment ago something. He said, in spite of your faith, you know, how did you keep from doubting? And I think doubt, and you can answer that question. In fact, let me put the question back up here for Joe, and you might have answered it to an extent. Let me see if I can find it. He said, "How do you fight the doubt that comes even with your faith?" That's what he said. How did you fight the doubt? Yeah. Good question, Joe. Good question. If anybody else has a question, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer it. So let's ask him. I'm watching. Go ahead. How did you?
The doubt is there because whenever you're going through something like that, the enemy is right there. He's waiting for you. So the enemy wants to defeat you. He wants you to question your faith or lose your faith. So with me just making it a focus every day, I had materials that I read every day. I had healing scriptures, healing prayers, affirmations that I did every day. And sometimes, let me tell you how bad it got. So whatever fears you have, when you start going through a life-threatening situation, the enemy makes it so those fears amplify. So if you're claustrophobic, then you start having problems. I started having problems with elevators. Like if someone pushed me on the elevator face first, I would panic the whole way until we got off the elevator. But if you backed me in the elevator, I was fine. Just even being in a car, I would feel like I couldn't breathe. I would have to like turn and look out the window the whole time. Like, this is crazy. I mean, I never had problems with any of these things. Going under the underpass, like by the airport, you know, we had to go that way every time to go to Cancer Treatment Centers of America. If I saw that, I would immediately start sweating. Then in my dreams, the enemy was waiting for me in my dreams. Wow. So it made it so I did not want to go to sleep, but I had to go to sleep. I had to rest. So just bad dreams, nightmares. So just reaching out to my spiritual partners, praying, talking to God. And sometimes I would just rebuke the devil just out loud, you know, tell him that I belong to God. You know, I would just like yell that in my house. And just having just a good support system, somebody that you can check in with and just be vulnerable with. It really does take a village. It really does. And I say everybody has moments where their faith begins to waver. But, you know, we really don't have to have a lot of faith, you know, just faith the size of a mustard seed. So if you can just hold on to that, that's all that God requires.
Just enough faith.
Yes.
Yeah. If you got enough faith, he can work with that. He can work with the rest of it. So you're saying because you started bringing up the enemy and all that stuff. So it was a spiritual battle as well. It was as much a spiritual battle as it was a physical battle. Because and would you say that that it was your spirit that helped fuel your strength, fuel your physical, to help you get through it faster or get through it, period? Do you think that it was your spirit that kept you in it?
Well, I would say yes. I've
Okay.
always had very strong spiritual roots from when I was raised in a church. And then my early 20s, I even considered going to seminary school. I know the Lord's calling me to ministry, for quite
Mm-hmm.
some time. And then once I had a chance to just step back and look at the situation, and I realized what I was going through wasn't even about me.
Wow.
Because for a couple of years before my diagnosis, I had been asking God to show me what it was He wanted me to do. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said at the time, I was director of hospitality at a church, but that's not the platform, that I was supposed to have. So when
Mm-hmm.
I got the diagnosis, I didn't question God. I wasn't upset. I just asked God to heal me. And so as I was going through all of these things and suffering, um, I realized that actually God had answered my prayers. He It's almost like he chose me. Well, he chose me to go through that journey so I could be equipped with the different things that I needed to be a blessing to other people. Now I know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds kind of crazy to some, but
Okay.
once I realized that, it even strengthened my faith even more. Because
Wow.
even throughout the process of me going through treatments, um, I had started getting so weak, and my chemo was very aggressive because it was advanced stage 4, to the point where I had become so weak. And you have to qualify for chemo. First in the beginning, you have to have an EKG. If your heart's not strong enough, you can't. So I used to pretend that I could walk better than I could when I would go to my
Mm.
appointments, because I wanted that strong chemo, keep giving it, because they said they would have to dilute it.
Mm.
And so uh, I don't know. I
Take your
guess what
time.
I'm
Take your
there.
time. Take your
Sometimes
time.
I
Take your
forget
time.
about these things. I'm sorry.
I know. I said take your time. I mean, we got time. So let me ask this, because you told me something earlier. And like I said, I want you to say it. I don't, So I just try to draw it out of you.
Okay.
How bad did things really get? I mean, what was the worst point for you? What was the lowest point during
Of
the
course.
process?
Well, I mean, at one time, there was thoughts of suicide,
Okay.
and I think that's very common. I mean, because your whole world changes. I was
Wow.
someone who's always self-sufficient, and now I'm someone who I can't even take a few steps.
Jesus.
Didn't even know what my life was going to be like, and I was in constant pain, constant pain.
Mm.
Um, every day I just used to count down the hours to the next day. To say a
Jesus.
typical day for me was sleeping probably until 4 o'clock. I would try to make it down the stairs. While I would make it down the stairs, it would take me probably 20, 25 minutes to get down the stairs. And I would make my way. I had a rollator. I borrowed my mom's rollator, so that was helpful. I would eat like some food, like maybe someone brought me, or some rice check cereal. Just say if I
Mm.
warm the food up in the microwave and then I sit on the couch, turn on the TV, it was always the news. I would fall asleep because I would be so exhausted from just doing that. So I wake
Jesus.
up, warm my food up, eat, take my 25 medications, and then I get back in bed and I mark off on the calendar, waiting for tomorrow.
25. 25 medications.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, I actually, each chemo, I'm just like, okay, just I had circled each chemo day. So every day I just marked off. So that was my life.
So you said you thought about suicide, of course. But were there any? Did it at any point at the hospital? Did they almost lose you? Due to any of their treatments or anything of the sort? Did it ever get crucial? Or did you have a coach? Because I don't know. Like my dad, he was in ICU. That he
Hmm.
crashed 4 times, and they had to shock him and bring him back, and all those kind of things. Did it ever get
Hmm.
that bad with Hodgkin's lymphoma?
Well, yes, because what was happening to me was outside of the norm. It wasn't like when they pulled out the textbook, the things that were happening to me did not match up. To say,
Okay.
for instance, when I had my first chemo, I developed all these pains, my back to the headboard, how I had to sleep. And once my back was removed from the headboard, so like use the restroom or whatever, there was so much pain, excruciating pain, and I couldn't
Jesus.
breathe. I had constant breathing problems. Went to the emergency room. The doctor said, "I'm glad you came when you did. You have life-threatening blood clots." And
Mm-hmm.
so I have a real high tolerance for pain. So I'm thinking I must have 2 or 3 clots. And when I asked him, he kind of started chuckling. He said, "No, you have too many to count." I'm like,
Wow.
"Too many to count?" And he said, "Yes, you have several behind your right knee. You have several large ones in both lungs. And then those
Jeez.
large ones have small blood clots attached to them. And then I had one in my left jugular vein. So, all
Wow.
it takes is one to take you out."
Wow. Ah, Lord, this is hey y'all. This if you know anybody that has had cancer and survived it, anyone that's presently dealing with cancer. A friend of mine just got diagnosed with prostate cancer recently. Anyone that can benefit from this story, tag them. We're gonna be on for another 15, 20 minutes. Tag them. I want them to hear this because I want you to see how beautiful she is now. Mr. Doberman Club. I'll ask that question in a minute. But right now, let me stay on this train of thought right now. Now, physical appearance I know is usually a big thing. You just said you thought you was cute. Taking all your little selfies and all that stuff prior to this diagnosis. I'm joking that y'all that don't know me, okay, I do joke a lot. I joke and I don't smile when I joke, so a lot of times you can't tell I'm joking. But often I realize physical appearance and health can be closely associated. How did having Hodgkin's disease challenge or shift your perception of beauty and strength?
Wow. Well, it forced me to find beauty in places that I never even thought
Mm,
about before. Um,
Jesus.
my physical appearance was altered. Of course, you lose your hair, lose your eyebrows, your eyelashes. And then, as I mentioned, I was swollen. So my lips, nose, face, everything was swollen. And sometimes I would catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Sometimes you forget that you're sick. Like if you wake up, you just wake up. But I can see the mirror from my bed, and it will startle me sometimes because I would see an old man, looking at me. But it was me. So I had people around me who always told me I was beautiful no matter how I looked, because I remember one time saying that I looked like a monster. And
No.
my niece said, "Auntie Myra, don't say that. You're beautiful." But that's just how I felt. And I didn't know if God was going to restore my looks, not to say that I'm being vain, but I want to be me again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the chemo for Hodgkin's lymphoma actually destroys muscle, and my body type is very muscle heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my body ended up being like silly putty. And
No.
it's like I had to rebuild my muscles. Like I had to start all over again with 2 pound weights. And that's part of the reason why I lost my mobility. And so like when I would wake up in the morning to try to get my day started or use the restroom, I couldn't just get up out of bed. I had to reach down, grab one leg, pull it up, reach down, grab the other leg, pull it up, turn, and then get out of bed that way. And then just sitting on the toilet just to get up, it was a task. And I had to like rock 1, 2, 3, you can make it. Okay, let me rest.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. I mean, so just doing that and then taking 2, 3 hours just to take a bath. Finally getting in the tub, worn out, feeling like a 600-pound person. Turn the
Wow.
water on, then just wash my arms, fall asleep. Wake up, add some more hot water, watch something else, fall asleep. So I would do that probably 3 or 4 times every time I took a bath. Yeah. And a lot of things I didn't even tell my family, because you don't want them to worry.
Yeah,
So a lot of things I just kept to myself,
I
which
get
my
it. So,
daughter probably never heard that before.
yeah, Antoine, I understand your question. It's just, I mean, it's not somebody. It's not really. It's not with the line of my relative as far as what I'm going to talk about this particular month. Somebody wants to know if you want to say it, it's your business, but they want to
Okay.
know how much was your treatment. I know you were selling, but they're trying to find out how much you. And I respect all comments, but I kind of try to
Oh,
stay on a
well, that's
train
fine.
of thought. Yeah,
It
but
was over $2 million.
oh my God, $2 million.
Yeah, each chemo was about $160,000 for each
There you go,
chemo.
my friend Antoine. There you go. Over $2 million in treatment. There you go.
And then there was a shot that you would get. There was a shot that I would have on my arm that would release some medication 24 hours later, so I wouldn't have to go back. And that shot was $35,000.
$35,000.
It adds up quick. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, Prophet John said, where's the book? So I guess you need to start writing as soon as possible. So let's get back to this beauty thing.
Okay.
Because, of course, beauty, your perception of beauty has changed. You started to find beauty in other places. I think that's one of the most awesome answers I've ever heard in my life. But I want to commend. Do you mind if I commend you for something?
Oh, please.
You sent me several pictures while you were going through your process. And y'all, I'm not talking to her. I'm gonna talk to y'all. On every picture she sent me, she was smiling. So if she frowned, she didn't do it for the camera. She smiled. I don't know if she was putting on to make sure her family thought she was okay. I don't know. I don't know if she was smiling through pain. I don't know if she was smiling to keep from crying. But one thing about me is just my mind, my sequential mind looks for patterns. I look for patterns in anything I do. And every picture you sent me, and you sent me before you sent me before, during, and after pics. She sent me before, during, and after pics. And between each and every pic, one thing was constant, and that was her smile. Now, while she was going through her chemo, she had a hat on. She covered her head. You could see the hair was missing, but she smiled. And I'm saying that because it's so many of us, even those on this line listening now, even those that might hear this tomorrow, hear this next week, whenever you hear it, we go through a lot less, but we're frowning and we're upset all the time. We let life happen and we respond so negatively. We act like, we flunk the test of life so many times. I tell people all the time, Myra, life lends lessons, but we just got to consider the clues, right? But so many times we miss the clues and we sit over here arguing over semantics and, we try, and we're missing the point on little dumb things, right? Grandmama and them said something, Dr. Taylor. She said, it done got late in the evening and the sun's going down. And I understood what grandmama meant right then, right? Now love is lost. Families don't love like they used to love. Everybody becomes so egalitarian in their approach. We're majoring in the minor, as Dr. Bishop Taylor just said on the mat. But these are the things that matter. I mean, because we have this beautiful young lady, this soul, this one. Consumer Reports published a study showing 95% of supplements on the market are contaminated and contain magnesium stearate, which decreases absorption and increases a toxic material in the body, which has a lot of pesticides in it. Many companies are labeling it as a vegetable steroid. Central Silver has at least 3 dyes that are listed on the National Cancer List as a potential carcinogenic. Most of the minerals in it are in the form of oxides. Oxides oxidize the body. That means they rust the body out. At Immune Wellness Pharmacy, you will receive supplements that are dispensed in glass bottles. They're vegetable capsules with no additives, no dyes, no fillers, no preservatives, no magnesium stearate. To know your body is absorbing the nutrients it needs, shop Immune Wellness Pharmacy. That's pharmacy with an F. Go to immunewellnesspharmacy.com to shop now. Immune Wellness Pharmacy, restoring optimal function to the human body. This woman who has a daughter that has done all the things right, graduated from the Jackson State University, and moved to Atlanta, bought her own house. I'm sorry about the Jackson State part, but moved to Atlanta, got her own house. Built a career. If you make it 6 years in the insurance industry, where you don't have to make cold calls anymore, you really wrote yourself a six-figure salary without even have to do anything, because you got enough renewals and things of that nature to start keep. I get it. I understand. So she's built this, and then all of a sudden, bam, roadblock. Things have changed. So how long was that chemo process? How long was the process where I started taking this chemo and then things start getting better?
Well, my chemo was for 6 months.
Okay.
And after I rang the bell for my last treatment,
You
and I
can
go in for
ring
a
my
follow-up visit
bell.
with my oncologist,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he hit me with, "Oh, you're going to need 20 rounds of radiation." He knew it from the beginning, but he didn't want to overwhelm me. So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
like, wait,
Okay.
what? Because I'll never forget when you first check in at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, you get your schedule for the whole day, and they had like radiation oncology. And my sister-in-law at the time, Melita, was with me, and I looked at her. I said, "We can skip this appointment. We don't have to go to this one." And she was like, "No, we probably need to go to it." And then when I went to the that appointment, that's when I was told that I needed 20 rounds of radiation. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" Because with the radiation, you have to have it every day, Monday through Friday.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm thinking this is almost 70 miles from my house. This is a lot to ask for people. And I've already had people to take me back and forth to all of these appointments because not only did I have appointments with chemo, I had appointments with my ENT. I mean, sometimes I would have 6 appointments in one day. So I had so many people who would volunteer and just take me. And sometimes I would just put out on Facebook because I didn't want to wear people out because some people just like, I don't care, just let me know. I just drop everything. But no, people have lives and stuff too. And so once I found out about the 20 rounds of radiation, I made a Facebook post saying, hey, I just found this out and
Mm.
my inbox filled up. And it's within probably 30 minutes, I had, oh my gosh, I had enough people to take me twice a day who volunteered. I mean, that's just how much support I had. And I'm just grateful to God as well.
So 6 months of chemo,
Hmm
20 rounds of radiation. Is that 4 more weeks?
Yes, but I
Four
had a
more weeks
week
of
in between. Yes, but then things got worse again because after I had my third round of radiation,
mm-hmm.
I became so weak.
Okay.
Actually, because I was trying to go to Florida the next week, but I just saw with each
Girl,
round I
sit
became
yourself down. You trying to go to Florida? Jesus.
yes, I'm trying to go
I
somewhere.
love your faith. I promise I love your faith. Wow. Wow.
And my oncologist told me it wouldn't be a good idea because he told me I would continuously become weak. And
Okay.
so I became weak and very fatigued. And it was to the point where I can only be awake maybe 4 to 6 hours within a 24-hour span. That's just how exhausted my body was.
Wow. Let me read her. Let me read her Lanza, and we're gonna come back to that timeline in a minute. But let me read what her Lanza says. It was a long post, but she needs to get it out. She said, "Jesus praise you. My dad was told us in March that his stomach and chest was hurting. My dad told us in March his stomach and chest were hurting. Took him to the ER and they said he had heartburn. Came home and it wasn't going away and took him to another hospital ER and they found this huge lump in his stomach. It turned out it was cancer. 2 weeks later, he passed away. 2 days after his birthday. My girlfriend just found out she had ovarian cancer. I have 3 family members that are breast cancer survivors, but I praise you and commend you for your testimony." All right.
Thank
That's
you.
good. That's good. So 6 months, then we start the radiation, we have a setback. So when does the treatment stop and when does the process start towards getting back to who we see now?
Well, radiation
Well, you are
is
always her. I'm sorry. You never a different person. Let me quantify that statement. I apologize. You were never a different person. Look, and to me, sometimes I have to close my eyes to see, and a couple of times you made me have to cry real quick because I don't want to cry on this camera, so I had to kind of do it real fast. But but to me, it seems like you were almost more you because your spirit man had to step up. Right? People don't really understand. People don't really understand that we're dichotomy, right? We're just as much spirit as we are flesh, right? And it's times that our spirit man has to really stand up for our flesh, and I believe in those moments, your flesh, while your flesh was weak and your spirit needed to be more, your spirit did what was necessary to sustain you until you were able to get strong enough to becoming back to who you wanted to be. So we've gone through the radiation. We've gone through the chemo. How long has that process been since we've completed those, and then what did the rehab look like?
Okay, so that was March of 2020,
Okay.
and just the rehab. Oh my gosh, it probably was September when I got to the point where I could be awake 8 hours a day because I
And
was
this was during the
restricted.
pandemic, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how was your access to the hospital and all that kind of stuff? Because I know they wasn't hardly letting people, hospitals were overwhelmed. And well, you were in the cancer center, so I guess that might be a little bit different.
Well, yeah, but actually, I think the pandemic hit around March, and that's right when I finished radiation.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so then I needed physical therapy because,
Okay.
you hear people say they had to learn how to walk again. You literally have to learn how to walk again because once I started getting a little strength, I thought I was walking, but I was teeter-totter. And so
Okay.
I was told that they could have someone to come out to the house, but I was afraid because I didn't have an immune system.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I would just have to do things, on my own, just try to walk around the house, just try to push myself. Um, but I'm trying to. Oh, I do want to touch on one thing real quick. When
Do
I
that.
said that, I had to find beauty in other places, one thing that did happen, James, by me sharing on Facebook and just being so transparent, I guess that inspired people. So when they had friends and family members who were being diagnosed, they would like inbox me and say, "Hey, I told my cousin about you. I was wondering if you could talk to her or just
Okay.
whatever the case is." And so I kind of started doing that. And then I had a prayer book. So everybody that was sent to me or that I talked to, I wrote their name down and what was going on with them. And so I kind of shifted the focus off me and I started praying for them every day. And I prayed for these
Mm.
people every day to the point where I remember when I would be in radiation, receiving radiation, I would go down from the top to the bottom. It's almost like a song. These things you repeat so many times you remember. And then I would
Mm.
add people and mark people off or just whatever the case was. And so to me, I feel like that also helped to heal me because how the saying goes, whatever you want more of, give that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is where the spirit led me, and that's something that I just kind of continue to this day, and the ministry has grown out of it. But yeah, I'm sorry, I know that wasn't in the question that you asked.
Man, don't do that. Don't
But
do
I,
that on
I
fake.
do
Don't do that. Don't do
appreciate
that little apologizing. This is your. This is my name. Well, my name is up there, but this is. I don't look like what I've been through with Myra Singleton. Hey, if anything that you feel, if I'm not asking the right question, please, and because I've never been diagnosed with it. I did a little research today and tried to understand it a little bit more, but I haven't gone through it. So having not gone through it and you have, and somebody that might hear it that needs to hear something, then, and I miss it, please, I'm not beyond reproach. This is, hey, let's talk and let's get it out. I think we've shared a lot. I think you've talked about the different phases. We've talked about her faith life growing up. We talked about where she had reached financially. We talked about some of the plans she had for a future, but then all of a sudden she finds out she has a disease, a rare disease, something that they don't have a whole lot of data on. They don't, it's only 8,000 diagnosed cases a year, and somehow it ends up in her body. She says one of her lungs look like a smoker's lung, but she's never smoked, never done any drugs, anything of that sort, and she has to rationalize this, right? But when that rationalization comes, you present immediately. If you have any type, if you have healthy cognitive skills, right? If you have any ability to think somewhat critically, when you're presented with a problem, the initial thought is to look at it at least one or two ways. Am I going? Do I say "woe is me" and give up, or do I say I'm going to beat this? And she said, in that moment, I knew that God was going to heal me. And you know what? Sometimes it's dangerous to say out loud what you want God to do for you because there's a crafty enemy, right? And the enemy eavesdrop. The enemy pays attention to the things that you say. And when you say those things, then he's going to try everything, Joe, to plant that seed of doubt. He went to Eve in the garden and said, "Eve, are you sure God said you can't eat off of every fruit, every tree?" Like, because you can eat out of all of them, but you can't eat off this one. Because if he can just plant a little seed of doubt, so while you're on your back and while you're having to use, and I don't think people understand what you're saying when you talk about how they had to drill into your spine and they had to do all these things and why you would have to sleep against the headboard, it makes sense because your backbone, your spine is starting to be degenerated. So you needed some type of support. So it makes sense. We don't understand that the spine is connected to the pituitary gland and that's the stabilizing for it. So I get it. And you went through all of that. And what I like about it is, Myra, you handled it with grace. You kept smiling. When people should have been praying for you, you said, you know what? I'm going to flip this. Rather than me pray, P-R-E-Y, I'm going to start praying for other people. And I'm going to tell you something. In that moment, I just believe with my sanctified imagination, with the Holy Ghost fueling me, I just believe that God had to honor that. And he said, because, people question, why would God give Job up? Well, because he knew Job could handle it. He give some people out. It ain't Bible, but you can find something to probably fix it. He gives his toughest battles. He gives the hardest battles to the toughest soldiers. And you know how many people would have just stopped the moment they got that diagnosis? You know how many people would have started planning their obituary and started, trying to settle their affairs? But you said you had to live. You had a daughter. You had family. You had friends. And I watch your post. I watch your post. It's a scripture in Matthew 5. It says something about you are the light of the world, and the city that's set on the hill cannot be hid. And it says, let your light so shine. You're letting your light shine. You ain't like a lot of folk I see out here making their light shine. And so I got a problem when people make their light shine, because then you become self-absorbed. It becomes about me. But I haven't heard you really say it's about you. All I've heard you talk about is your faith. And I think that's powerful, because when we talked the other night, towards the end of the conversation, I said, what are you doing now? You said, I'm doing ministry. I said, what type of ministry? You like, tell us, what type of ministry do you do now?
Well, I say, well, others have told me it's a ministry, so I've just received that. Okay. Basically, from people reaching out to me, wanting me to talk to different people who have diagnoses, going through things, and even caregivers. It just kind of grew from there, and it's been a few years now. Because the things that I've went through, I can relate. No matter if you talk to someone who loves you with every fiber of their being, if they never experienced it, they cannot relate, even though they may want to. So when people tell me different things, it's like I'm a safe place. They can tell me things that they're afraid to tell their family because they don't want their family to worry. Or they tell me certain things and I say, oh yeah, I remember that happened to me. Or when that happened to me, this is what I did. Or ask your doctor to try this or try that, because I went through so many different things that were trial and error. And then just sometimes, like I didn't tell my family some things because I didn't want them to worry, and it backfired on me because I ended up being sent to a doctor at CTCA, and she asked me different questions, and she said due to the fact that I held certain things in, it created anxiety and panic disorder, and I can believe that. So I want to be like a safe place where people can just talk to me freely. And then sometimes patients don't know what they need. Sometimes people ask me, what can I do for you? And I would say, I don't know. I mean, because I've never been through it either. And so with the caregivers that I talk to, I can give them tips, give them ideas, things to try. So, and I talk to people, I mean, there have been people that I've talked to or ministered to from all over the United States, and some of them don't even speak English. I have to speak to their children and they translate.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's where God has put me. So it takes me back to me asking God to show me what it is you want me to do. And that's where I am today.
And no, God got a weird sense of humor to take you through all that, to put you in that position, right? That's a weird sense of humor.
That was my boot camp, I guess.
That was hey, at least you came through. You a soldier. You my friend John just said she's a frontline soldier of faith. So I get it. Two more questions. Number one, in what ways has your perspective on life, health, and well-being changed as a result of your experience with Hodgkin's lymphoma? In what ways has your perspective on life, health, and well-being changed? Has it
Um,
affected your diet? I mean, you understand the question.
yes, well, I've always been like very health conscious.
Okay.
So that hasn't changed a whole bunch. I mean, there's some things that I've added. And now, since Hodgkin's lymphoma is a blood cancer, so there are certain things that I have to cater to for cellular health and things like that that I, stay on top of. My outlook on life, it's always been a positive one. I've always been a happy, upbeat person. Like I've never been a moody person or anything like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's amplified. I have more patience for some things, and then some things I have less patience for. Um, I don't really trip on little stuff. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, that's
because
good.
I've been through so many storms, and if you try to splash water on me, I'm not even phased by it. I take nothing for granted. Every single day, I thank God. I'm reminded of where God brought me from every day. I don't sit there and dwell on it, but I remember. So, how people say, some people don't stop and smell the roses. I'm that person who stops. I'm never in a hurry to do anything. I only do the things that I want, and I'm very intentional about everything that I do.
Okay.
And I feel like I have to protect myself, protect my gift, and protect my spirit. So I have to watch the people that I have around me as well, and make sure that those people are, trying to walk the walk as well.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's good stuff. Listen, we're going to wind this conversation down. Those in the audience, I appreciate everyone for listening. We're not done yet, though. We got probably about 5 or 6 more minutes. If you want to support this platform, you can. I'm going to put the PayPal and the Cash App QR codes up there. Several things we're trying to do to expand this platform. I do like to bring on local celebrities. I like to bring on. We talk about different types of things. We talk about dating. I was married 20 years, ended up going through a divorce. So I had to learn how to date again. So I brought women on and had them show us how to date them. I've done a whole dating after divorce. I've done a whole lot of different things. But we call it the intellectual stew for a reason, because we're able to talk about so many versatile things, faith, whatever. We talk about it. And this conversation has been one of the best. One of the best ones we've ever had. Is the ones that I like. These are the ones that I believe will change lives. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people. That's part of who I am. I want to help people. And I love the fact that Myra is on the same wavelength as far as being one that wants to help people. So Myra,
Yes.
if there were one thing uh if there was some advice that you would give someone that was going through Hodgkin's lymphoma or some other type of serious illness that was life altering, what type of advice would you give them?
I'll say first and foremost, your mindset is 90% of the battle. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that mindset stays positive. Reach out to who you need to reach out to. Have your support system, your spiritual friends, and then do some work yourself. Like sometimes people just ask, "I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray for me." But no, make sure you pray for yourself. This strengthened my walk with God to the point where I feel like God has always been God, but now I feel like we're like this. I call God like
Wow.
he's my G. I mean, that's like we have that personal relationship. Sometimes I talk to God and I hear him say less. I got you, daughter. So that's how tight God and I are. So
Yes,
you don't
sir.
have to be formal talking to God. So I would just say make sure you are that you're advocating, for yourself. And then know what's going on with you medically. Don't just listen to what the doctors are saying.
Hmm.
Every appointment I went to, I had a notebook. Everything I ate and drank, I kept a log. And actually, that could have saved my life because I remember I was given a medication by this doctor, and then later on, I was given another medication. And then it turns out, had I taken both those medications at the same time, I would have gone to sleep and not waking up.
Wow.
So be an advocate, do research, have people to do the things for you if you can't. But when you can, just do all that you can. Um, So, and if you need help, let people know you need help. People want to help. Don't be proud, because I know I was like that. I'm the type of person, I don't like to ask anybody for anything, but God put me in a situation where I had no choice. And some people, I mean, people want to help, because actually that's how we get our blessings, is by helping others, being a blessing to others. So I don't know, it's probably just so much more, but I would just say, just try to hold on to your faith, um, and use the resources that you have. And you can always reach out to me.
Right. And we'll give them an opportunity to give them your information in just a moment. So I just put the link in the chat for anybody that is perhaps that has not just to come on and talk. I'm not with that. Okay, I'm not just come on and talk, but somebody that's adding to the conversation that can relate to what Myra has gone through, maybe that helped her through her situation. I'm cool with that. If it's some of her friends on here, something of that sort, or somebody that maybe wants to give a testimony, we can do that. But just to come on, just because, like I said, this is serious. This is serious. This is not. I don't like it. This is ministry for me. This is my ministry, Myra. And this is my way of shedding light. So you gave advice to those that were dealing with terminal illnesses, right? But I want you to give advice to someone maybe not dealing with a terminal illness, but still dealt with something, right? Maybe a divorce, maybe a failure, maybe lost a job, maybe dealt with alcoholism or something, and it left you in a bad spot, right? Let them know, how can they come out? How can they come out? What advice would you give them to help them get out of their current situation?
Basically the same thing that I would say that I did, because a struggle is a struggle, a battle is a battle, and these are things that we need God to heal us from. And I would say, other than praying, claim your healing every day. Then also do whatever you can, reach out and get whatever resources, and you have to play a part in your healing as well.
Yeah.
Just like I had to learn how to walk again, and learn how to walk straight, and just your mindset. I would say that, to me, that's just the biggest thing, and just your will to win, and ask God for what you want, and expect whatever it is that you're asking Him for. So if you're asking Him to heal you from alcoholism, just start seeing your future, how it's going to be, once you're sober. That's what I started doing. I just started just looking at how things would be once I was better, once I was healed, once I was restored. And actually, things turned out better than what I even imagined.
Hold on.
Yeah. My name. He's about to blow my mind.
All right, I'm back. He just blew my mind, so I had to bring that out right quick. He's about to blow my mind. Did he blow your mind with this one, or did he blow your mind, or did you expect it? Because certain things I pray for, he don't really blow my mind because I expect him to do it.
No, I would say that he would. He did. I mean, because before I was so focused on money. But when I was going through everything that I was going through, I realized that it didn't matter how much money I made or had saved. It wasn't going to make me better quicker. And I realized that had I passed away, I would have really regretted missing out on so many things in life. So it shifted everything for me. Now I'm all about quality of life, making memories. Now I'm rich with that, even though I live a conservative lifestyle, but I'm fine. I want for nothing. So it really changed everything and put things in perspective. So I was on track to make about $250,000 the year I got sick. Wow. I really don't even care about that. I don't care about that. I just care about making memories, living life, and just enjoying. Because sometimes people work. They don't even get to enjoy life. So I would never have that twisted again. And I would encourage other people to kind of take a look at that as well, and not let it be something drastic that happens to make you realize, like, I'm really missing out on things that I can't get back.
That's amazing. Sheila Sanders said, I had a friend who went through not telling anyone what she was going through, and we lost her last month because when we found out, it was totally out of control. So you got to share the have a support system. and share that with your support system. I'm glad. I'm thanking God that the things that you were trying to keep away from your family, Myra, that they didn't have to find out afterwards. You know what I'm saying? So, but you knew. She said, "I knew it. I knew God was going to heal me." I'm done. That does it for me. I mean, that's faith talk, and faith talk is faith does things that I've seen. I've seen faith remove spots off X-rays. I've seen faith pay bills. I've seen faith do a lot of things. Right when it's real faith, when it's real faith, you know, it doesn't mean that you won't have moments where your faith is challenged or your faith is tested. But I said it earlier. I don't believe. I believe that any faith that has not been tested is a faith that can't be trusted. And Myra, God tested your faith, and from what I can tell, you passed. From what I can tell, you passed, and from what I can tell, it seems like that He's approved you, and He's proven you, and He continues to prove you. So, do you still have complications from the surgeries or anything of the sort at this point?
There are some residual things, but I do want to mention something that I just thought of. I'm sorry.
No, if you apologize one more time, you better stop.
Okay.
Stop.
So when I went back to see my oncologist after I had my last treatment, rang the bell. He said, "I'm going to be honest with you." He said, "When you first came to us, we weren't sure if we could save you."
Wow.
He said, "But we just saw that fighting spirit in you, in your faith.
Yeah.
It just made everybody want to give their all." And even the first hospital that I was a part of out in Lawrenceville, some of the nurses, they're my friends, Facebook friends now, because of the strength. They just couldn't believe it. And to me, I'm just being me. I didn't think this was a big deal. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just take it all in and I don't realize how major something is until someone points it out to me, because I'm just oblivious. Like I was just doing what I thought or felt that I needed to do.
Wow. I'm speechless. I don't get speechless often, everybody. So, but I'm a little speechless tonight. So I appreciate that. Hold on, I ain't do none of my commercials tonight. Hold on, I gotta do my commercial right quick. Then we get out of here. Hold on, let me do my commercials.
Hey, let's change the world together. Get your The World is Changing tea at www.theintellectualstew.com.
Listen, friends, I was stuck in a state of stagnation. I was depressed after a divorce. I was marinating in my misery, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to work, didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to stay where I was. But then all of a sudden I had an epiphany, and I realized that where I was not where I was supposed to be. So I made an adjustment. And you know what I did? I got on the path to better. You know why? Because I realized that better existed. And you know what I want to do? I want to invite you to join me on the path to better. Get your On the Path to Better t-shirt at www.theintellectualstew.com. Will you join me on the path to better? All right, so there goes that. So I had to do my little commercials right quick. So I need your address because I got to send you a shirt since you're on the path to better. I got to send you one. So inbox me so I can get you a shirt in the mail. And anybody else that wants to support this platform, like I said, you are welcome to do that. All right, so you've told us, you've given encouragement, you've given your testimony. Anybody that has heard that testimony, what you are going through it might be bad, but trust me, somebody else is going through worse. I'm going to pray in a minute. I don't pray every time we go out, but I'm definitely going to pray tonight since we've had a lot of faith talk, and I'm going to operate in my incumbent responsibility. But before I pray, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with, or anybody in the audience? Before I leave, don't speak now, forever, or hold your peace. I put the link in if y'all wanted to say something. If you don't want to say anything, but you want to ask another question, ask it now, because like I said, she's going to give her final remarks. And then I'm gonna pray us on out, and like I said, we're gonna roll out. What you got? Talk to me, Myra. Anything you want to say in closing?
Well, yes. I'm just reminded of my visits to the specialist who put the scope down my nose and just brushed everything off 7 months before I was diagnosed with stage 4. And then, just the different doctor's appointments that I had, I would just say, just, be vigilant about your health. Sometimes people ignore things and sometimes they don't want to go because with Hodgkin's lymphoma, the oncologists didn't know how fast it developed or anything. So because they know so little about it, because I was wondering, did I have this before when I went to see? And he just was, negligent and not looking enough. But anyway, I would just say and then just always try to take care of your body, your temple. Sometimes people just push the limits with drugs, alcohols, foods, and things like that, because all my doctors told me if I wasn't in the shape that I was when I was diagnosed, which I had never had anything other than childbirth and allergies, they said I would not be here today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's pray. Eternal God, our Father, thank you now for this, our time of sharing. Thank you for Myra. Thank you for her life. Thank you for her family. Thank you for her friends. Thank you for fortifying her future. Father, we realize that you are God that never fails, and you've proven it by making her an example. And that example, God, is now is one that we can all see. And now that we see it, someone that's going through something similar or something maybe not even as bad, Father, that now they can move on a little further simply because they know that if you did it for her and you're not a respecter of persons, that you can do it for us also. So, Father, I thank you now. I thank you for her life. I thank you for everyone that is on this particular video tonight, whatever they might be going through, whomever they might be connected to. Father God, allow them to be a light in that individual's life. Father, allow them to come to know you like Myra did in a more personal way. God, allow them to know you. Now Myra knows you as Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals. Somebody else needs to know you like that. So, Father, will you reveal yourself to them? Father, somebody is dealing with a chaotic situation and needs peace in their life. Let them know that you're Jehovah Shalom, the God who provides peace. So we thank you now for what you've done. And Father God, we thank you in advance for what you're going to do, Father God. Let somebody, as a result of Myra's testimony, let them realize that you have not forgotten about them, and that, Father, you're concerned about their future, and that you will step in, and that you if, as long as they have the faith, you have the power. So, Father, I ask now that you would allow faith to be activated. Allow faith to be activated, Father God, so those that stand in need of healing can know, Father God, that you are a healer. And then once they are healed, that they'll give you the glory. God, we thank you now for what you've done. We thank you for what you're doing, and we thank you in advance for what you will do. Bless now in Jesus' name. Amen. And thank God. All right. I don't even want to get off because it was a good conversation, but I appreciate you, man. If I missed anybody, okay. Joe Lavelle said, can I add you? Tell everybody how to reach you. Tell them Instagram, Facebook, whatever. How should people reach you? Listen, if you talk slow, I'll type it. Let me put it in them. If you talk slow, I'll type it. Can you talk slow?
Yeah, just Myra Singleton on Facebook.
All right. Facebook, Myra Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
How you spell Myra? I'm joking.
That's probably the best way. That's the best way. Yeah, because I don't put a whole bunch on Instagram.
Okay. All right. And if you're on here the first time and you're following me, follow me at James H. Kirkland II. That's my regular Facebook page. But if you send me a request to my group, it's called Stew Nation, the followers of the Intellectual Stew podcast. We keep these conversations going all the time. We try to have adult conversations. Now, sometimes they go a little left. Some people just, Myra, I've learned that some people, if you put a post up, I think they think they're supposed to argue.
Hey, it's Facebook.
Man, make general post specific. I mean, just something can be true and not be applicable to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I put a general post out, then I would say, "Well, my mama didn't do that." Okay. I'll get up, but I digress. Anyway, we try to have good conversations. So if y'all want to be a part of that group, I appreciate you. Myra, we friends now, man. Give me a high five in the spirit. Give me a high five in the spirit. Yeah, we're going to meet for lunch or something. I appreciate you, y'all. I'm sure everybody was blessed by this testimony. And if you weren't, if you weren't blessed by this testimony, you might already be dead. And that's spiritually. I use a lot of metaphors and parables at certain times, and I do that. But yeah, if you wasn't moved by this, if you can listen to somebody's testimony like this and not shed a tear, not feel something inside of you might already be dead.
Mm.
Real talk. Real talk. Let me turn my music on so I can get out of here.
Okay.
I like my little music. Yeah, I hate I didn't get my intro in earlier because I was trying to learn whatever though. It didn't happen. So I'm hear my music here. All right, so we out. Thank everybody for listening. I appreciate you all. That's my music. That's me singing. I was at the end already. But as I always say before the end of every show, yeah, it's still 18 people on here that's listening. I can't believe it. And that's the ones that I can see. So I know it's more listening than the actual 18. So I'm happy about that. I'm trying to make the music look back there. Yeah, as I always say at the end of every show. And here it is. And Myra, I'm sure you can attest to this now because you have this testimony. Guess what it is? The world is changing. But my question is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good night. And you know what? This is my last show for the year. I'm not doing any more this year. Yeah, I'm done. I might go live, but the shows are done. I'll see y'all next year. I will see y'all next year. Yeah, I'll see y'all next year. Myra will be back. Myra will be back, y'all. Y'all like Myra? Yeah, I know. Anyway, good show. Thank you, Jarvis. I saw you, my friend. How you doing, buddy? We out. Got Quitman, Mississippi. All right, y'all be good. I'm out. Let me cut this out. I'm tired. I'm sleeping.
Intellectual.